The intruder. Callie awoke with a start, her heart pounding in her ears. Something had pulled her from a deep sleep, an instinctual feeling that something was very wrong. She strained to hear any sounds over the pounding of blood in her head. That's when she picked up the faint creak of a floorboard in the hallway outside her bedroom door. Her whole body went rigid as a wave of panic washed over her. She wasn't alone in the house. Callie's trembling hands clutched at the bed sheets as she listened in terrified silence. More creaks and the unmistakable shuffle of footsteps down the hallway. They were getting closer to her room. She wanted to scream for her husband Dan, but sheer terror had paralyzed her vocal cords. All she could do was lie there, petrified, as the footsteps arrived right outside her door. Her bedroom door didn't have a lock. Just a thin slat of wood separating her from whatever was lurking out there in the shadows. Callie clutched a pillow tightly to her chest, holding her breath as the footsteps stopped directly on the other side. Silence. Then the rattling of the doorknob being slowly turned made Callie's blood run cold. The metallic click as the latch disengaged echoed like a thunderclap in the deathly quiet. She watched in horror as the door slowly began to push inward, dread and panic rising in her chest like a tidal wave of ice water. The door swung open with an agonizing creak, revealing only darkness on the other side. Callie wanted to scream, to cry out for Dan. But some primal instinct warned that a single noise would be her last. She could only watch, petrified, as a large silhouetted figure emerged from the inky shadows, backlit by the faint hallway light. It stepped into the room with slow, deliberate footsteps. A tall, powerfully built man dressed in black from head to toe, including a ski mask obscuring his face. Callie's eyes were drawn to the object, gripped in his hands a long, menacing knife that seemed to glisten in the darkness. Callie let out an involuntary whimper as the figure stopped next to her bed. He slowly turned his featureless face towards her, seeming to drink in her sheer terror for several agonizing moments. Then, without a word, he raised the blade. Callie's screams at last pierced the night as the knife plunged down. But they were abruptly cut short as Dan, woken by the commotion, burst through the door and tackled the masked intruder. The violent struggle knocked over Callie's bedside lamp, casting the entire room into total darkness, punctuated only by the sickening sounds of grunts, blows, and the two men crashing into furniture. When the police arrived minutes later, they found Dan unconscious and bleeding on the bedroom floor. Callie was huddled and catatonic, her nightgown soaked in blood that didn't seem to be her own. And the intruder had vanished without a trace, leaving only Callie's recurring night terrors of his featureless mask and glinting blade as evidence that he was ever really there.